sometimes, yes, you have a strong R&D team, you take years to research, but sometimes just doing things on an instant can really pay off as well. I said, these are what Sri Lankans eat and what we like to eat, and we have grown up eating, and we're bringing it to the global world. I will be very honest, we were quite hesitant to say that we were a family-owned company, and now it's second generation coming in. But I think it's important. I think people have to realize there is a story behind this company. It's not just a corporate where we crank out products. Like we saw at Anuga, like people making deals, oh yeah, here, one container. We were like, wow. Where we had just launched, right?
Is it challenging to build reputation, credibility as a source coming out of Sri Lanka? Because they know us for your tea, apparel and so on, but here you're coming up with something new.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Change the Conversation. I'm here with another business leader, Ameena Ziauddin, who is the Managing Director and the President of Norfolk Foods. Thanks for making the time, Ameena.
Thank you for having me.
So Norfolk Foods have been around for 3 decades now. What's changed over the last 3 decades in terms of consumer eating habits, the choices that they make? Anything that you can add on that?
So, over the last 3 decades, obviously Sri Lanka has gone through so much, right? And I think the company has had to evolve with that. From what we've seen in the last 2, has been a lot more expectation of new products, like new offerings, new flavors. People are a lot more exposed now, like they are, they want to try new things. They're both want to try new things, which is great for us, right? So, our forte is supplying hotels. So we actually have a backlog of products which we have not put into the retail market yet because we were waiting for the retail market to be ready for it. So what we've seen in the last, 10 is people are like really open to trying out new things. So we've been able to then, promote and launch new products.
Talking about launching new products, this is not technically new, your Kochchi Bites, and you were talking about how even the development of that was it was coincident. You were not planning on that particular product. Talk about the research process, the new development process, and how you kind of match the trends that are going on in the market.
So it's funny. Okay, so normally we have a very strong R&D team. We took a lot of time with research and development. But for this product, so our flagship product is the mini cube, right?
Yeah.
The OG. So we were thinking, someone just said, should we do something that's a bit smaller? Like people might like it for a bite. Or just to eat spicy. It was one day in the factory. That was it. Wow. We just said, okay, we have kochchi, we have chili, we have cheese, we have everything. Make it smaller. And finally, we actually launched it with a leading chain. Names I can't mention, and it didn't work.
Okay.
It didn't work, and they were like, no, it's not working. People don't like it. They don't like it with just with the drink. And obviously we were like, okay, fine. But we launched it in retail and it exploded, right? So that same chain came back like 6 months later, going, actually, that thing you showed us like a year ago, we're happy to go ahead. So sometimes, yes, you have a strong R&D team, you take years to research, but sometimes just doing things on an instant can really pay off as well.
And with your background, kind of from food technology, I believe, as well, how do you focus on research? I know it takes a lot of money and effort and so on for NPD and so on as well, even though this particular example might have been one-off. How do you strike that balance?
So the thing is, when you say research, for us, for NPD, what we do is we're constantly innovating. So it's never stopping. And it's not that you're spending money on research. You don't take it as a cost, I would say. So what we do is we keep making samples, we keep adding things, taking things away. If a supplier comes up with a new option, we try it, or we approach our suppliers for new options. So it really does depend on in what kind of landscape we're in it. So sometimes customers could ask us for things, or we suggest things to a customer. So it just does depend on the type of product that we're making at that time. So it is important, though. I would say never stop, because once you stop, then you're dead, right? So we keep doing it. Yeah.
Moving away to look at the marketing side of things, you became the MD in January this year. any particular area that you have doubled down on in terms of your marketing efforts in reaction to some of the competition that's happening in the market, plus obviously the diminishing income levels of the middle class and so on?
So it has been a kind of a double whammy, if you can say. Like we've had very heightened competition right now, as well as obviously people's incomes coming down. So we've had to pivot in a way of establishing ourselves as, okay, a 30-year-old company. We've been doing this, a long time. A lot of our products are first to market. And that's the story we've been really drilling down on, because I think it's important for people to realize we didn't pop up yesterday, right? And these products have been around and been tested. And, we take pride in the fact that we have no colors, flavors, MSG, preservative. And that's the narrative that we're now going with. Because it's important, I think, for people to realize you get copies and not very good ones. So, food came up with it first.
So, reinforcing your story, your values.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I mean, initially, I will be very honest, we were quite hesitant to say that we were a family-owned company and now it's second generation coming in. But I think it's important. I think people have to realize there is a story behind this company. It's not just a corporate where we crank out products. Like everything is part of something. So I think that's important. Just
Sure. Moving into some of your new product portfolios, I was very interested to see some of your plant-based products.
Yes.
And I do understand that you all launched it recently in a trade fair in the UK. How was that? What was the response amongst the international community for a plant-based product coming out of Sri Lanka?
So interestingly, we actually launched it at IFEI in London, and we were with our partners who are CP. And the thing is, the story that we sold or we spoke about, these are, they happen to be plant-based, right? We are not making something it's not, right? It's a Polos cutlet. It's a Polos cutlet, right? We're not saying it's, this much protein, whatever. I was like, we are not replacing meat here. I said, these are what Sri Lankans eat and what we like to eat, and we have grown up eating, and we're bringing it to the global world, like global marketplace. So one of them, which was a hit, was a pineapple pancake. And they were like, oh my God, it's amazing. And I said, well, this is literally what my grandma used to make for me in her kitchen. And there is a story behind it. Like my grandma had loads of grandchildren, but she used to make it and hide it for us. So my sister and I used to come and then give it to us. So there is a sentimental value to it. And either way, so all the pancake range is like that. So what I've told and what we've said to people is, this is just Sri Lankan food. It's very easy to be vegan in Sri Lanka or vegetarian, right? Because of the offerings that we have. So, and we also have clean labeling. So what you see is what you get. So if you turn the packet around, there's not more than 8-9 ingredients in there, right? So I think that's important, because now in the landscape of plant-based and vegan food, there's a lot of stuff in there you have no idea what's in it, right? So for us, we were trying to be as clean labeling as possible and just say as it is. There's no, let the product do the talking. So I think it's important with these trade fairs that you sample your product as much.
Talking about trade fairs, actually, we're talking offline about this as well. So there's a debate happening about the effectiveness of visiting trade fairs and the investment that goes for the trade fair. What is your view on it, and what advice can you give for exporters looking at trade fairs as a platform to grow their business?
So I've seen it in different ways. So in IFE, we went with our partners, and we literally didn't have any. The investment was my air ticket and my accommodation, right? But we've also done Anuga from our own end with EDB and whatnot. Thing is, it depends on your product. Like we saw at Anuga, people making deals, oh yeah, here, one container. We were like, wow, where we had just launched, right? So if you are able to have a product that can be sold over the counter like that, then I think it's a good one. And some people say their investments are returned within the day, like the deals that they make. If you have a product that is a little bit more complicated, you need to send samples, you need to send this, that, it can be quite difficult, I say. But it is a risk, and it's a risk that you can't, if you're launching a product, that you have to take, I think. So, and also, I would say following up, because people see loads of exhibitors and they can't remember, obviously, even you won't remember everyone who comes to your store. But imagine the amount of people they've seen at these stalls, right? So unless you've made a hell of a good impact on them and they really like your product, they're not going to. So unless you make that follow-up quite quickly. So I think it's you can say it's a huge investment sometimes, but
sometimes it pays off. So I see your organization as a pioneer for meat, poultry-based products, especially going outside Sri Lanka as well. My question is it challenging to build reputation, credibility as a source coming out of Sri Lanka? Because they know us for your tea, apparel, and so on. But here you're coming up with something new.
yeah.
Is it challenging? How do you go about that?
So Sri Lanka has a good reputation. I think because of the tea, because of the apparel, like we have a good reputation of making good manufactured products, right? So, and we're known for high quality, which is great, right? Because you're leveling off that, like you're leveraging off that, sorry. So, but it is also challenging when you're in the meat industry because there are a lot more stringent rules. Like we can't export to some countries because of animal health issues or whatever. So it is difficult in that sense, and that's not Sri Lanka's fault, right? It's just the rules that are in place. But as a country, we have a good reputation.
Sure.
So it's I mean, on that note, then it's okay.
And in terms of your efforts, in terms of marketing internationally, are you going a bit of an old school approach in terms of your networks, attending trade fairs? Is that what you would like to start off with?
So we are we're doing a bit of both, right? So we went. So before we exhibited at trade fairs, we went to trade fairs. Just went and visited and showed people our brochures, saw what's available, and then said, okay, I think we should. And we are very lucky that our senior chairman is quite open for us to, and it is pushing us to be able to exhibit globally. So it's a bit of both. I think you can't leverage on one sort of way, like anything, and it could be a conversation. I think in Maldives, Milani, my colleague, had a chat with the lady next to her, and that lady was like, "Oh, I know somebody, you can." So it also happens like that as well.
I think it's about a bit of hustle.
Yeah. And for us, I mean, we need to make people try our product and eat it, and once they do, they realize it's a good product, and that's what does the talking mostly.
One last question about the future. Any market or product that you're doubling down on and that you see that has growth potential for you that you would like to bank on?
So we're diversified.
Sure.
I would just say broadly at that, because I think relying on one source of, like, for example, chicken is not going to be the best going forward.
And goes back to our first question of the eating habits and so on.
Yes. And
love your hummus range.
So that's the thing, right? So it's so what we are trying to do is to be a food solution provider, not just a meat frozen food. So it's frozen food and not just frozen. Sure. The dips are chilled, right? Sure. So trying to say that, okay, if you are having a dinner party at home or if you're a hotel or restaurant, that we can supply as much as we can to you. And if you're someone at home, you can come to our hurry up stores and buy everything that you need for your dinner party, right? So that's the plan, in short.
With that, we wish you and Norfolk Foods all the best.
Thank you very much.
And hope to see you globally.
Yes, I hope so too.
And thank you for joining another session of Change the Conversation. We'll be back next month with another inspirational leader. See you there.